We are live
Mm-hmm.
and cue the music.
Yeah, we do have that jingle now. So.
Welcome to Dads in Real Life
Mm-hmm.
and welcome to the school year. We are just
Yep.
about there, and as you could tell if you're an avid listener,
Mm-hmm.
this is the real test. Is I didn't get any text messages saying, "Travis, what happened? There's no episode last week." So everybody's okay with it. We're
Yeah.
all on summer
Yeah.
break. We all had a lot of things going on, and
Yeah. The
so here we
schedule
are.
is always different than it is during the school year. So yeah, we're back at it. I think we're both about a week out. Travis, am I right? That you guys?
From school, the kids starting.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. About a
Okay.
week out, and it's a little less than a week now. But yeah, we're back to the rhythms and the roles. I mean, technically, Deb's back at school now, so she's working.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so some of the people up here in NorCal are in school now, quite a few. But my kids start next week.
Yep. That's like us, SoCal. There's some cities that already started, but we don't start until next Wednesday, I believe.
Yep. Oh, look at that. We're on the same exact day. I'll text you and I'll be like, "Happy back to school day."
Happy and a little tangent. What are you guys? You guys gonna do anything to celebrate, you and Deb? Right? Like, think about it. You just went through a full
Oh,
summer with kids, right?
yeah.
Now some of the kids are in school. So
Here's the crazy thing about August. Let me tell you, it's first. It is the middle child's birthday, and then
mm-hmm.
I gotta remember it's my mom's birthday. I gotta send her
That's
stuff
true.
out
Mm-hmm.
and about, which we did this time, and then it's our anniversary, and it's the
I like
first
how
day
you
of
said
school
this
for
time.
Deb. So this time, yeah. Well, I hate to admit it, everybody, but I am a human being. And there was one year where I forgot to call my mom, and I never said anything, and it was
Mm.
bad. And I had to call her a month later, and I was like, I think I messed up big time, and I am so sorry. So we all make mistakes, and I
Yes.
definitely made that one. So yeah. So celebration wise,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We
You
are
have enough
celebrating.
opportunities. Yeah, you have enough opportunities this month to celebrate. So.
Yeah, we're celebrating a lot of things, I guess you could say. So not quite
Mm.
back to school celebration, but we're in that phase of parenting where we're really excited because the kids are excited because they're just
Mm-hmm.
starting school, right?
Yeah.
So we're still
Yeah.
in that light phase of we're in kindergarten and we're in TK, and
Nice.
so it's more of like I'm pumped because now it's like me and the baby time, and the
Mm-hmm.
other two kids are at school. So that's super cool because all of a sudden now I get to be productive again, kind of. Like I can take her out on a bike ride or I can go to Costco or and it's not like quite as much of an endeavor,
It just
because
simplifies
with
it. Yeah, simplifies it.
yeah, with one kid is way different than three. And let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you, like just this whole week right now with Dad back at school, back at work, and me just on the kids, it's like gearing up to go on a trip, like out of the country, just to like go to Costco. Like I can't forget the snacks, and she needs her fasting, and we gotta have the extra diapers. But then those kids are gonna be upset if we don't get the ice cream, so we gotta make sure that we do that before we get shopping if they're good. So it depends. So I need to make sure that I'm on my dad game, so
It's
on and so
amazing how the prep time is probably going to take longer than the actual shopping time at Costco.
Yeah. I mean, potentially, but let me tell you, I'm not gonna lie right now. There are a lot of guys out there that complain about going shopping. I am not one of them.
No,
I like to peruse.
I
I
like
like to
to
hit
yeah,
every aisle. In
gallivant a
Costco
little bit.
specifically, for
Hmm.
sure. So we can just make that our segment. What kind of shopper are you? Obviously, it depends on the store.
Yeah,
But I am definitely a peruser. Yeah, I mean, like even when I go to Home Depot, I know there are seasons in life where we're working on the house, and I'm like, okay, I've been here like 12 times this week. But in general, I like to just maybe I'll find something. Or
hmm
maybe I don't. Maybe I can't afford to find something, but maybe I'll just look at it. Maybe I'll just touch it real quick. What about
uh,
you?
I am the opposite of that. So funny enough is when I go shopping, it's for specifics. I don't window shop. I go in, go out within a timeline and a goal. And that's personality type now, not before. Before I would peruse, but also because I would notice I would have collected a lot of things over the years due to that type of shopping, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
oh
hey,
yeah, we don't need it, but we'd like it, right? And so
yep.
it'd be one of those things. And as we had more and more kids, that kind of compounded. So what used to be like an hour at the mall is now like 6, right? So it's because it's me, the kids, Mo going around. So now it's like, okay, if there's something we want, we know exactly which shop to get it at. And if it's something the kids want, we know what shop to get them to get it at. And we'll give them time to peruse because there might be some other options, right? But to cut down on overall time, usually I don't even shop with the kids. Like I'll go on an off day, I'll disappear for 20 minutes tops. I'll just go get the shirts I need or something like that, leave, come back. It's literally like going to the grocery store. And just like the grocery store, I don't peruse too. Go in, we need ground beef or smash burgers. That's it. We go out. So it's interesting. Yeah. Throughout life,
Oh,
kind of switch
let
it
me.
up.
Okay, so that makes me curious then. So is that also how you operate when you go to say Trader Joe's?
Yes. Yes.
In
So,
and out,
so
no funny business.
So no funny business. So I would say the only tangent is when they get me at the POP stands like right before you get out. So the waiting
Yeah,
in line and there's a stand there
yeah,
like, hey, you might have forgotten these things.
yeah. You
That's
might need some
that's
chocolate or some beef jerky or something.
or some of the cornflakes chocolate. Yeah, that might be.
Corn. Oh, the cornflakes chocolate. That is. Not everybody can see it, but Trader
Ooh.
Joe's gluten-free oatmeal coconut cookies,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm gonna say it with raisins.
I could
Ooh, some
definitely crush
people
that
hate.
entire box. Yeah, I could definitely crush
Definitely
that.
did yesterday, except there's one left, and that was what I was gonna eat while we talk. So,
Nice.
this episode is supported by this is
Gluten-free oatmeal
crazy.
cookies.
Sorry to all of our international listeners that don't have Trader Joe's. Sorry you are so deprived. But
Yes.
uh, I'm not somebody who buys gluten free stuff by like intentionally ever. But
Mhm.
this time I did it because Trader Joe's like they got some. It's for the taste. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, these gluten free cookies are better than a lot of other cookies. So
Yeah.
enjoy,
Yeah,
enjoying them.
someone's been in the lab over there at Trader Joe's, really figuring it out. So, but yeah, so that little like point of purchase right before that's where I would get caught with buying something. But for the most part, I go in, I have literally, I won't show you on the phone, but I've got in my documents that checklist of things to get. Go down, boop 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 with the girls, and that's about it.
Boop boop boopity boop. Look at you. That is that. I mean, it's just a perfect mirror image of your lifestyle,
A little bit, a
discipline.
little bit.
Like intention. Not going off the beaten path where you get distracted, where you eat too many calories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh boy, that is great. Now let me tell you something else. This is because we're on the Trader Joe's train. I just have
Mm-hmm.
to do this right now.
Yeah,
Um, Trader Joe's just came out with black sesame mochi. Have you seen
we
that in your store?
We have heard about them. We haven't seen them. Like, so they're either, it's kind of like when and again, this is very niche, right? Trader Joe's talk. But remember the mochi pancakes when they came out? They first came
Yep.
out. It was like, they're gone. They're never coming back. Too bad. And you're like on eBay looking for a box of pancakes, right?
Yep.
So that was similar to the sesame mochi in our area, just because where we're at in SoCal, like the demographics, that stuff got sucked up quick. So we've heard of it. I've walked through the dessert aisle many a times, but we have yet to see them there. So,
Wow. If I could ship it to you, I would. Um, this is really something that I find interesting. I think
mm-hmm.
there's probably some science behind it
Mm-hmm.
because what I have found is that if you have the palate for black sesame
Mm-hmm.
in some way, shape, or form, you will love it.
Yes.
And if you don't, you will hate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, like there are in a lot of more like Asian cuisine, you have
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of black sesame.
Yep.
Like what is it? What is it? Black sesame like um what is it? Sauce or
Yeah.
there's a couple different things.
There's like a sauce syrup. You'll see it a lot of times in desserts.
Yeah.
So we're a fan of it. So I mean, we've been eating that stuff for years. And so when we heard about Trader Joe's shipping some mochi, we've been on the lookout. But yeah, every single time we gone, it's either sold out, or we've driven around to different stores, or oh no, we're not carrying it yet. It's kind of like sample sizing in a couple stores in SoCal, and if it hits, then they'll kind of distribute it to the
Yeah.
others. No, but no, I've only seen photos.
So I'm gonna just tell you right now, I fall into one camp there, and I am
Mm.
a huge fan of the blood orange mochi.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
just
We
oh
haven't
my
tried that
goodness,
one
it's
yet.
like eating those Flintstone push pops,
Oh,
like
I
back in the
remember those.
day. That's
Yeah,
what that tastes like.
perfect.
Um, but the black sesame mochi, I tried it, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I would go out and lick the asphalt on the ground before I eat another one.
that's
So
that's
I,
awesome.
I I yeah. I'm sorry.
It's
I'm sorry. I feel
like
bad because there's
no,
some people that are passionately like they
but
love
it's
it.
a
They're like that
specific
black
taste.
sesame mochi.
It's a specific taste. You either like it or you don't. I could say the same for like almond butter, right? You might be a peanut butter fan, and then they're like, "Oh, it's healthier option." You try it, you're like, "Oh, this is pretty gross," right? So, I mean, to each their own. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
it's
get it. I get the palate thing. Like, I mean, the
yes.
first time I drank wine, I wasn't like, oh, this is great. I'm like, oh, whoa, this is crazy.
No, it even took a couple of years for the girls to get used to it, right? Because a lot of times in desserts, you'll have options like either almonds, black sesame, red bean, but there's always chocolate. And so we'd always go for something chocolate because that's kind of universal. And then over the years of like mom and dad ordering the black sesame and then kind of trying it, they're like, oh, it's kind of grainy, doesn't really taste like peanuts. But then it's like widespread, right? Because you can get it in like milk tea drinks down here. You can get it as like toppings to ice cream down here. So it's starting to make its way into other products.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what caused the girls' palates to change over the years. Plus, one of the desserts that we make, not make, but we buy, is a black sesame balls that you boil. And so kind of like pasta, when they float to the top, they're done. So it's like mochi on the outside, right?
Yep.
And then just black sesame on the inside. And so the girls have really liked that.
Ah, ooh, interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, like, I haven't given up hope. I feel like that's something I wish, like, okay, maybe I could ease into that.
I think so. I think introducing it in other ways too, trying it
Yeah,
with
what's
like
the best
ice.
way? What's the best version or substance like that the black sesame should be
I,
started with?
there's a couple ways to do it. They make mochi, which is like just glutinous rice that's been pounded into almost a pudding texture, and you can use black sesame as a like a topping. So it's not like you're not getting right crossed in the face with like black sesame. So you could try it that way, or try it as an ice cream. That's also nice because it does well with dairy. So the creaminess of the dairy plus the black sesame works well. So those are kind of the first two. Or if you got friends that are versed in some 99 Ranch shopping, they can send you some frozen
Yo,
black sesame balls, the ones that we cook at home. And
we have
before
99 Ranch here.
I'll just send you a photo. I'll send you a photo of which one to get. And
Okay.
you literally it's like ravioli. Boil it like 3 minutes. It floats. It's done. It's going to be a hot dessert, so that's something to kind of get over. I think a lot of times we're used to desserts being sometimes room temperature or cold, so it is a hot
Yep.
dessert, but it's delicious. And you use a little bit of the boiling water as a soup, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But it's going to be sweet because the mochi outside is sweet, right? So if you're boiling it, it becomes sweet. The soup actually becomes sweet. So yeah, I'll hook you up.
Ah, okay. So, all right. I'm gonna do it. And you know what we need to do is we need to have like an eating episode where we're just eating stuff. And I mean, people can
What?
still hear our commentary on it.
Oh yeah, no, but it's like a food review show,
Yeah.
right? So like, I'll get you that, and then one day we'll prep ahead of time. Like you'll boil it, and we'll eat it as part of our intro. And so
Yes.
with that, if you're not into hot desserts, you would still boil it, right? Put like 4 or 5 tablespoons of the soup in there. You have like 4 or 5 of those black sesames, and then just put it aside for like 20, 30 minutes. Then it becomes cold. So you could still eat it as a cold soup, right? Or maybe some ice cubes or something like that. So you don't need to eat it as hot. But yeah, we'll do that next time. I'll
All
send
right.
you.
All right. Oh boy, I'm excited. Okay, all right. So, no need for any other segments because boom, shakalaka, just like that, we are off to the races, and we
Yeah.
have limited time now, basically.
Uh-huh. Yeah, especially with school starting again. Yeah, for sure.
So, the question that I have for you today, Rob, and you might have to think back on this, but again, you're good at this.
I
I was
got you.
just talking about I have a cousin-in-law, or
Mhm.
technically I think you say once removed. Shout out to Ben today. He's over there in New Zealand, and he's now an avid listener. Shout out to Ben.
Hey, Ben.
He and I were talking over the phone just today, and he was raving about how awesome this Rob guy is, and just like boom, he just the nuggets he said I love those nuggets,
Ah, I got you.
so the Rob nuggets
Mhm.
are making their way across the world. Let me
That's
tell you.
awesome.
So I'm ready for some more Rob nuggets now, and I know that you can do it. So
Okay, let's go.
we're gonna dive in deep. So here's the question,
Hmm.
and this can go a plethora of different ways, and we can walk down some of those streets while we're in the neighborhood. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So the question is, how have you seen or noticed your identity shift over the
Mm.
years? Now that could be within the context of hobbies, within the context of like who you are as a dad. It could be context of
Mhm.
just in general. Yeah,
Mhm.
like when you were 20, you
Oh,
identified yourself as a this type of person, and then like when you were 30,
yeah,
you
yeah,
felt
yeah.
like you were this kind of person. So,
That
what do you think?
great question. It's. I might go off on a rampant tangent here, but Ben, great question. And I think that question you could get super specific as far as like age, career, becoming a father, all that stuff. But I've noticed. I'm going to use a broader stroke. Ben, here are your nuggets. So first and foremost, when we talk about identity, right? For me, as a young man coming into my own, very confused about where I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to do. The samples of being a man and being a father was only within my household, right? I didn't really have like uncles and aunts because we lived overseas, and so I had like kind of like one template. But what happened is because of my personality trait of moving so often and needing to fit in, my identity was tied to being liked by others. So that could be in small groups in school, that could be relationships. So I was a quote unquote people pleaser, right? So that was I was tied in to kind of the surrounding environment, and that dictated who I was. So when I was a young
Ah,
man, all throughout high school, even up to college years, I wouldn't say I had an identity. I would say my identity was my ability to quote unquote fit in, but that's not an identity, right? That's like I was number 274 of my high school graduation or something like that. And I didn't really come into my own or identify or create kind of pillars in my life of what I would stand for, right? So identity is kind of like your projection of who you are into the world, what you stand for, your morals, your ethics. And I didn't have that discussion until I was into my mid 20s with my current spouse, Mo, right? So we grew up together. So growing up together was fortunate enough for us to fail a lot, but to have those discussions of like, hey, who we are, what is our roles here during the short amount of time we have, what do we stand for? And so 20s, mid 20s, early 30s, I started to identify myself with performance as an entrepreneur because that's when I transitioned into business. So was it better? No, but instead of trying to fit in, I kind of jumped on to success was my identity, right? Being able to provide for others, still people pleasing in the kind of gym atmosphere, helping others was very fulfilling to me. The difference between that era and I would say childhood people pleasing was I did it to fulfill others people's joy as a kid. Whereas now me helping others fulfilled me, brought me joy, helping others, being of service. And I didn't really use the term being of service until I actually got out of that business. But then I was kind of locked into 30s, late 30s of, you know what, the more successful I get, I'm going to tie my identity into that first Harley Davidson bike that I could buy, right? That accomplishment. And so my identity then transitioned to accomplishments over experience. So I had a lot of accomplishments in my late 20s, going into my late 30s. But again, not really solidified my identity until I became a husband and a father. So at that point, you're forced to look at your identity, right? It's like literally a line drawn in the sand where it's like, okay. And I think a lot of new dads, and Travis, you can chime in if you want. I think a new dads, I know I did, struggle with this because who you were, good or bad, and I would look at my past being like not good or bad, but got me to where I needed to go, is you can no longer play that role. You no longer have that identity of people pleasing. You no longer have that identity of entrepreneur because now you have a 2 month old sitting in your lap, right? And so when I said I do at my wedding, that was a brief moment of kind of recollection and I would say self auditing. Like, hey, now I'm a husband. What does that mean to me? What did I see growing up as a husband, a good husband? What are good husbands examples in my life? And then I had the same questions when I became a dad. It was like, okay, what are the good examples of being a man, a husband, a father? And what are some examples of I'm going to steer away from that? Because we all have both. We've all seen both. And so it wasn't really until I'd say mid 30s that I really had that identity shift into, okay, what do I want to be known for? Right. So, we always have that talk growing up, like, what's the legacy you're going to leave behind? I just want to be known as a good dad to my kids. I don't need anybody else in the world to know that I'm a good dad. I just need to know my kids know I'm a good dad. Right. I want to be the best partner to my spouse. I don't need the world to know that on social media that I'm the best partner, but in her eyes, what does that mean? So a lot of it's reflective with those people and then still working on myself to find that. So what's my identity now? It's still growing, but I can tell you it's not who I was in my 20s. It's not who I was in my 30s, right? It's ever growing. And I'm actually kind of fitting into this role better now because I feel it's more of a true choice. I feel like it's where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to shepherd where my feet are. And I feel the most comfortable there now. Whereas everything else, my identity of the past was built exterior to that, right? Making other people happy or accolades. So the question is like, how has my identity changed? I think I have found my identity with the more life experience I've had. Whereas a younger man, identity was a cool term, kind of like functional fitness, right? Like, oh, what's your identity? What are your morals? I'm a hard worker. Well, great, everyone's a hard worker, but I was a hard worker for other people because I wanted them to see me as a hard worker, not because I was really a hard worker. Now I know that's confusing, but that's how it's changed over the years for me. So now I'm still finding myself right now. Why? Because when you become a dad, your identity is your new welcome to fatherhood. You're a new dad. Diapers, water bottles, all nighters. But I have kids transitioning into like middle school, high school soon. That's a different identity. I'm not going to be changing diapers anymore. So as I grow, at least now with who I am, I'm comfortable, confident, and happy. As we start to transition into the next chapter, and I start adding or taking away things to how I would describe myself or identify myself, now I know those are a little bit more true choice for me versus like, am I doing this because I want my father-in-law to like me a little bit better? Or am I making these choices because the dad's group I'm a part of, they do that, even though I'm not really into that. Like they do that. So I want to feel like I'm fitting in. So nowadays, all of those decisions come easier, or not easier, but my awareness of like who's it really for is definitely fine-tuned. So no, I'm excited of who I am right now. My identity is kind of like what you guys see here. I don't know a lot. I know a little bit about a little, but I'm willing to share that. And I'll be the first one to tell you when I don't know. And I treat my kids the same way, right? So it's been interesting over the last, I'd say 6 months specifically with my kids. And as a man, and I know Travis, I've been talking for a minute. So, but as,
Everybody loves to hear you talk,
okay,
Rob. I'm
good.
telling you right now, you're
Uh,
fine. Yeah, keep
as a
going.
as a man, I know I struggled emotionally with connecting with my kids, and it's something that I've worked with for years, both with professionals and with my spouse. And what I come to realize over the last like year is the reason why I don't struggle with that with my spouse anymore is because we grew up together, right? We met when we were 17, 18. And so the emotional connection as we matured as adults was always there. But when you become a dad, it's this foreign object, right? Like I didn't grow up with this baby. I am I doing this correctly? So I would always steer towards literature and logic. right? Like I think I'm doing it right because the book said to do this way. And one of the things I struggled was I would feign empathy. Like, okay, I'm supposed to be sad now because the kid's sad. But then in the back of my head, it was always, well, of course, you fell down and bumped your knee, right? Logically, it's okay. Let's get a band-aid and we'll fix it and we'll get back to playing. So it wasn't until recently, like in the last year, that I've really worked on, and it's something I worked on. It's like, okay, what would 10-year-old Rob need in this instance? That's the response I have now. That's the posture. That's my identity now with my kids. And the emotional connection, the relationship I have has been far exceeded my expectations. And now that's part of my identity, right? Like I can be that dad to be like, hey, that sucks. I'm not going to tell you what's right or how to fix it or, your small friend group. But I could imagine how I felt like in elementary school if a bunch of kids did that to me. Man, that's really bad. So that was a quick tangent, but that's like kind of the season of life I'm going in now. That's part of my development of my identity right now is actually uh, kind of referencing my past or connecting to my childhood in order to make better connections with my kids, right? Because they're that age now. But so yeah, in the 15 minutes I've been talking, that's how my identity has changed over the last 20, 30s, going into 40s, 3 decades, right? So it's definitely has changed a lot. Travis,
Yeah.
how about you, sir?
Yeah. No, 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 no,
Enough
no,
about
no. Hold
me.
on.
Okay,
I
if there's
wanna,
stuff there, that you kind of put a pin on, let me know.
yeah, I want to touch back on
Okay.
some of these things. So, okay. So that was gold. Like, forget the nuggets, Ben. We got the whole, we hit the vein of
Yeah,
the gold mine here. So, um, thanks for sharing that. First off,
of
that
course.
just deserves like a moment of like, man, what a joy to see where
Mhm.
you're at now and where you've been and
Mhm.
where you're headed, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
Travis has known me through some of those decades. So it's nice that he can
yeah,
see the other side, at least my point of view of during that season of life, right?
yeah, oh, totally, yeah, and it's fun to have also had like this funny, our dynamic again is I feel like a little superpower here because we met and we knew each other in one like phase of our lives,
Mhm.
and then we had like this break, but then we like reconnected, but we're remote, so we're not
Mhm.
seeing each other, but now we're like connecting through through this and everything else, and it's just like, oh man, it's crazy. I think it's fun, and it's fun to see, right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
to think back on when we first knew each other and now where we're at now, it's like
Yeah. But I think that's
completely
how we
different.
connect. We connect with you guys listening each other through stories, right?
Yep.
And it's first person. It's not like third person. So,
Yep. Yep. So you talked about this, like this, there was a shift when your first, you know, 2 or 3 decades of
mm,
your life, it was based off you kind of based your identity off of external things. It was,
yeah,
what's the word? It was extrinsic rather than intrinsic as
intrinsic.
far as
Hmm.
like the motivation, right?
Yes,
Um,
100%.
and then so, uh, walk me through that then, like what was the thing then that made you realize, just for you, I'm curious,
Hmm.
uh made you realize like, oh no, I want to, I'm doing this for me now,
That's
or
a great.
I it's going to be based off of my ethics and values, my
Yes.
internal, not rather than what everybody else is saying.
Yeah, so that's great. I there's a couple points in times in my life where I had to kind of draw the line in the sand where I realized that me creating a life around someone else was not making me happy, and as actually was a detriment to who I was, right? And so one of those instances is actually when I was 18, right? There was a point in time where I was living to make my parents happy, right? I think all kids do
Hmm.
that, like default
Yeah.
wise, right? You're making your parents happy. But as I matured into a young man, I realized there were some decisions that I would need to make that would go against my parents' well wishes, and not at fault to them, right? They're trying to protect their kids. It might have been something they grew up with, so that's their posture in certain things. But I knew that this loop had gone on for many a years within our household, and for me to grow into the person I wanted to be, that I saw myself being, that I felt pulled to be, I would need to face the fear of not not saying bad things to the parents, or confrontation in the idea of like butting heads, but I had to voice my opinion that, hey, my opinion is something different now. And if we need some time apart for you to be okay with that, I'm ready to be okay with that. So that's a lot of maturity as a young man to be able to say that. And I think part of that maturity came from me moving overseas at such a young age. You kind of grow up a little bit faster where
Yeah,
you're learning a new language, you're living someplace, you don't have a lot of friends. And so that kind of all supported with that idea of like, hey, Robert, I'm going to college now. And I saw this in college too with kids who struggled with being apart from their parents, as simply put, right? It's like that's a really kind of fundamental thing, but like emotionally, like it was hard to be an hour away from your parents, whereas my parents were 24 hours by plane away, right? And so I think that awareness as a kid really kind of built into my younger life, where it's like, hey, I realize a lot of things I'm doing are not sustaining my joy, right? It's great to hear good job, Rob. It's great to hear you passed another test, but it's almost like that. I needed a quick fix, so that led into my 20s where I felt like, wow, if I was more accomplished, I would feel more fulfilled, and so I need to do more. I needed to always do more, and so throughout all those times, there was this deep valley that you realize, okay, that's not who I want to be anymore, right? Like, why did I do that? And then you follow that line back to the source, and you realize, oh, it's the same seed that was planted struggling at 18 as I'm doing this for other people. And
yeah,
so, having that space to have those thoughts with my spouse and then talk that out loud, you start to realize that it becomes cyclical. And then through the second rotation of my 20s and 30s, I realized, okay, you know what? I'm going to cut this cord, because if I don't, I'm just going to end up repeating these scenarios, attracting these people, performing these things again, maybe to a different career, a different light, different community. So yeah, that's, I think, is that awareness at a younger age, coming up to some kind of pivotal moments, like going off to college, that I realized, okay, my identity is going to change now because I'm no longer in this environment that catered towards making them feel good, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and you mentioned a key, I feel like super key thing that we can get lost or we can miss these days, especially with all the distractions of everything that's
Yeah.
out there, is that point, those points in your life, those almost like, anchor points or pins where
Hmm.
you had some time of reflection, and
Yes.
it was this moment of like, like it was a huddle, like
Hmm.
in the middle of the game, and you're like, we're gonna change this from now on, or like,
Hmm.
hey, we're seeing a trend here, this is how I'm going to, adapt, or this is the direction I want to go at this
Yeah.
point.
Yep.
So yeah, which is really important. But wow. So okay. So what I'm hearing too is, so I wrote down like a lot of little questions on top
Yeah.
of that
Go for it.
question, because I wondered, what types of things like in our identity shift like subconsciously, and
Hmm.
then what things shift intentionally, right?
Hmm.
Because I also would imagine that there are certain things in our lives, and it's different for everybody, but there are certain things that anchor you to the identity that you want or that
Hmm.
you're looking to be, and things that rip you away from that
Hmm.
identity. And so you have to take that time, you have to be reflecting consistently so that you are continuing to point yourself in the direction that you want to go, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
um
I think we
you
do
know
this well in business, right? Where you have quarterly reviews, auditing with a manager, end of the year reviews. But unfortunately, in life,
yep.
you don't have that person unless you have discussed it with your spouse, or like, hey, we're going to do a check in every couple months, make sure, right? And are we still the people we want to be? Are we still doing the same thing we want to do? And not to treat it as a business transaction, but your time gets filled up quick with kids, right? And so unless you're intentional with it, like you said, conscious or subconscious, I think it's much harder to make conscious changes to your identity than subconsciously. And
Oh yeah.
subconsciously, there's kind of like two sides of a coin. So one, unfortunately, is trauma and environment that can really dictate your identity, what you've
Hmm.
seen or what have you gone through. or if you were lucky enough to have a mentor or a mentorship, or a group of people that you looked up to, that you saw what potentially could be, and that might be different than your environment. But if that pull is strong enough, right, then that could also subconsciously influence what you would see is important to your identity, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
both
what
coins work.
I love. I love how I can just take these these silly little questions, and then it's not ChatGPT. It's better than that. It's like I can just be like plug it into my Rob plugin, and then you just put out this eloquent, just like scientific philosophical line. So
Again,
thank you.
this is just our life experience, right? This is not Chat GBT.
I love it.
But
I love it. It's
yeah.
so fun. This is what makes this so good. Um, so yes, 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 yes. Okay, yeah. So, and generally speaking, I would say to come back to it is
Mhm,
like generally, I don't know. As I'm just thinking about it right now. The subconscious changes generally
mhm.
are going away from what you want, whereas the intentional ones are pointing you back towards. Right, like
Yeah,
gravity. Like
yeah,
gravity. Like
and
I
I think
have to consciously lift this thing up. If I let go and just let it do what it wants to do, it's just gonna bloop right down.
yes, and I think intentional practice towards being the person you want to be, right? Using characteristics of someone you look up to. I think through practice and consistency that can become subconscious, right? So if I wanted to be a better father
Mm,
and I laid out certain key points of, okay, who would that better, in my opinion, my eyes, what characteristics does that father have? Do I have any friends or any mentors or any people in my circle that have those? Okay, so if I consciously, deliberately start to hang out with those individuals, then I will start to subconsciously pick up those characteristics, right? Because a
yes.
lot of times we may not have direct contact with someone who we look to as a mentor, and as a kid, like Superman, as a kid, right? Like, man, I would love to be of service. I don't want people to know who I am, my identity, but when push comes to shove, I want to be there helping people. Well, am I ever going to meet Superman? No. But what are the characteristics of Superman in my comic books as a kid? And this was one of the key groups outside of my home that I kind of leaned into. It's like, wow, he's humble. Okay, well, what are some acts of humility that I could do? Right? Oh, he's always of service. Okay, in my household with my siblings or at school, what are some acts of service that I could do? And so being deliberate about that, I think that then changes into a subconscious, right? Almost effortless part of your identity. It's because you take time every day, right, to be thankful, or take time every day to be of service. And those are just two simple examples of what could be part of your identity.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh Man, I'm looking at our time and I'm thinking like this is going better than I thought. And like we're gonna roll with it because I
Yeah,
think
for
we can
sure.
pull it off. Um but you you covered all that perfectly. I think the next question that I would have is, well, it's interesting because part of the thing that I was thinking of was, there's my in if for my experience,
Hmm.
I've always been, I mean, maybe not always, but I I don't want to say this and sound like I'm bragging. It's more just like something I've noticed is that I am pretty confident in myself. So I like the what other people think doesn't have a whole lot of weight
Hmm.
to me, and sometimes it should, and then other times it's great. It's like superpower, like bounce right off, like whatever you gotta say. That's fine. That's what
Hmm.
you think. Like I know who I am, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, so on that side of things, that's how I kind of have been since I can remember, essentially, as far as just like who I am. Like I
Hmm.
know who I am, and that's that. And so the questions that came up for me was like, well, then how do people? Oh, I should actually pay attention. How do people see me? Like, how would they identify me? And does that? How what can I gain from that? And it was
Hmm.
funny because I was at work, like not the full time dad work, but I was working, and I we had this point where uh, I was like, man, I wanna play some music. Like the music that's playing at work is very subpar. Like we need to bump this up a bit. We need to elevate this experience for all of us. Okay,
Yeah.
and I work with a group of people, and I'm like I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna run with it, and I can do it.
Hmm.
And I I talked I talked with the boss. I was like, hey, I got a playlist. I put it together. It's appropriate for work.
Hmm.
Like, and boss looks at me and she was like, Travis, are you sure? And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm absolutely sure. This is great. This is a great one. I think it's good. And I tried to
Just
get
give
a
it a
mix.
gander. Take a look
Yeah,
at it. Don't even
yeah,
judge it. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
She was like, you can't be like playing like like the church hymns here at work. And I was like, what? What? Is this
Oh my
is this
goodness.
what I give? Is this what I give off? like,
That's so hilarious. Like
and
Psalms
and
is
and
just yelling
she
over
was
the
like, yeah,
loudspeaker. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. You can't. And I was like, what?
Wait,
I'm
let's sit
not.
down. Who do you think I am here? Yeah, it's so funny.
So like part of me was like, okay, like I'll take this as a compliment, right? Like
Yeah.
in only in the sense that, yeah, of course, like, right, as I've mentioned before, like, like I am a Christian. Like
Mm.
that for me, like
That's part
specifically
of your
values,
identity,
like,
of
hey,
course.
I follow Jesus, and like that's great. Somebody thinks like that I'm more like Jesus-y. But I was also like, but I am culturally relevant, and I know like what's
I know
professionally
music. Yeah.
what's like what like yeah. So
That's
I was like, how dare you? But then I asked a couple other people. I was like, can you believe what she said? And they were like, yeah, that tracks. And I was like never once have I offered to play music anywhere, but everybody just sees me and they think like, oh,
that is
Travis
so
is just bumping the church
just
hymns, like
that's
instead of
hilarious.
so
Oh my goodness.
so it just as an example of like, oh, how people see me, or I was talking about helping, like, it's a customer service job. I don't want to give away where I work just
No,
yet. In case I get
should you.
popular, I can't
Yeah,
be having
nor
all my
should you.
fans coming. I can't have
No.
all my fans coming in and
No.
seeing
No,
me.
no, no.
So
I agree.
anyways, but I was like, maybe I should, help this customer out, you know, you
Mhm.
know, but it's dark, so maybe they don't like, I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And like
Exactly.
the girl leaned over to me and she was like, Travis, you're like the last person
That I'm
you would
worried
make
about.
somebody
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable. You can
Yeah.
totally do that. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm giving off like teddy bear vibes.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess, all that to be said, I guess the only thing internally I was thinking was like, man, I still gotta make sure my kids like feel like they're safe, and stuff. Like I can handle business
You
if I
can.
need to.
You can,
So
Travis. You can.
I was, I was like, man, okay, so that's what people think of me. I'm a sweet little teddy bear, and I got you with the hymns. So,
So
um,
here's a tangent though, and it plays on to what you just talked about. So
okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think if you're a young man, and again, this would be advice I'd give myself only from my own life experience. And we are influenced by people, right? We do care about what they think, even though maybe not the majority of what they think. We do care about it. And all I would advise is, as you're growing up, as you're going through your seasons of life, to be very deliberate about the boundaries and people you share 100% of your life with. So to give you the example is like when it comes to myself and what I hold to be important, or if I'm questioning certain things, maybe about my identity or my choices, there's a handful, literally on one hand, of people that I'm feel that I can go to, and what they say will impact my decision. Whereas when I was a younger 20s, right, high school, everyone had a say in what would impact my decision. And
Ah,
so that's when we get that kind of that would lead into, when I got older, imposter syndrome, right? Because so much of my decision, I didn't know if it's my decision or not, right? So all I would say for those young dads, or if you're are making life changes, career, personal, have a couple people that you're willing to be transparent with, that you trust, that has earned the trust over time. And then if you want to let their 2 cents build your bank account with you, awesome. But it shouldn't be like, let me share it with everybody and all my coworkers and what they think. okay, that's probably true. No, that's their point of view, their set of glasses. But if your inner circle starts to saying, hey, you should turn right, then maybe we should think about turning right, right, versus going left. But if everybody at work's like turn left, it's like great, you guys turn left. I'm cool. I'm going to turn right.
You That's a fantastic point. And to balance that, right? Because again, from your perspective, right, you
Mm-hmm.
were going like, I want to make sure everybody is happy with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to, like, let me that's of the most importance.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas me, I was like, well, I should probably listen to somebody, right? But like the balance of, also as a dad, when you're as you go here, you mentioned a very important piece, and that's don't become an island either,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that you have those people in your life that you can be transparent with and that you can be honest with
Yeah.
and that you can go to, because we're all human, and like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm a fool, and it's really helpful to have somebody who I know is in my corner, who knows every
Mm-hmm.
bit about me. Even just like a couple people, like other guys
Mm-hmm.
outside of my spouse, like, because my wife can tell me like this, that, and the other. And she always laughs at this because she's like, "Yeah, your buddy told you that, but I told you that like 85 times,
Yeah.
right?" So like, sometimes we need that, So there we
Yeah.
go. But I digress. The important thing is like have some of those people to be telling you, no, like the important thing is that you turn right.
Yep.
And like all those people, all your coworkers saying turn left, but that's because that's what, they have different values than you do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or it's like this is more important at the moment because of the stage of life that you're in, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that, Travis, because you're my best bud, like you
Exactly.
got to
Exactly.
have you got to have somebody going through it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then of course like having some kind of mentor is fantastic too. Find
Yes.
that person that is ahead that can walk you through, and help give you some pointers along the way so that you don't get distracted by all the noise out there.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, I went off on the identity thing, and
Mm-hmm.
like the, in regards to, yeah, what people were saying. Like I'm finding like, oh, what do people? How would somebody? What would they? What do they see? It
Mm-hmm.
was, to me. I just found that, I just thought, wow, that's really interesting, because yeah, I'm coming out of a season of like post COVID,
Mm-hmm.
having worked from home, and then even becoming a dad, just being like home with the kiddos. Wasn't getting out into the world very much, and that's fine. That's just, this is the season I'm in. I'm not saying I'm upset with that, but it's just like, whoa, it's cool to be out here again and
Mm-hmm.
seeing what people are seeing. I wanted to end on that point, that obviously we are both in, and that we would both, I use as a huge portion of who we are, as our identity is as fathers now,
Yes.
right? Like, that's what prompted this question in the first place, was like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the things that I found my identity in the past were like, of course, when I, like became a Christian, and like really kind of made that my own thing. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
what my parents are saying. This is what
Yeah.
I'm choosing.
Your version. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, in like late high school, like that was a big thing. But like outside of that, there was just a lot of, like, it was usually based off what I did or my hobbies, and even we
Mm-hmm.
can do that now. Of like,
Mm-hmm.
the first question you ask guys a lot of times is like, well, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much more to it, right? And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is a dad podcast, and so we can
Mm-hmm.
say it like being a dad is the flipping best,
It is hands
right?
down best
So,
title I've ever had.
best title. And so like everything else just kind of peels away, right? Like, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter anymore. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, at one point I used to think of myself as like, hey, I do jujitsu. I'm pretty good at it. When I was like early teens, like I was just like, yeah, I'm in it. And my dad does it all the time. So like,
We're gonna secretly get him back soon. Just letting everybody know. We're gonna secretly get him
yeah,
back.
guys, that would be super cool. And Rob doesn't mention mention enough, but he's around some cool cats out there that might be even listening to this that do
Yes, they are.
jujitsu these days.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm self conscious about that. I'm like, dang man, if I had stuck with it, if I could have stayed, I could have been leading the whole crew by now, guys. I would have been like born and raised into it. But life had other things for me. So
Exactly.
again, we digress. Okay, our identity as fathers.
As
Um,
fathers, yes.
something obviously to be proud of, and I love using my identity as a dad to
Mhm.
connect with other guys. So I've just noticed like
100%.
that is
100%.
a super fun tool.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like even just doing this podcast helps like just like exacerbate that a bunch. Like, oh yeah, like let's talk. I want to like it's
I
like
think it's a
Mark
cheat
Pacer,
sheet.
but
It's
it's just
it's
for
literally a
myself.
cheat sheet. Yeah, it's a cheat sheet. It's how you can break down those boundaries of awkwardness of meeting new people quickly. It's like, oh, you're a dad. I'm a dad. Immediately, we know what we're going through. What season? Oh, I remember that season. And so
Yep.
immediately it brings that connection, right? Almost that trust because you went through the thick of it. I'm going through the thick of it. So can we be buddies, right? I need some help here. And obviously, that's the quickest way is through those life stories. Like, oh yeah, I remember those all nighters, diaper genie. Yeah, I got you, bud. Right?
Yep. Yep. And like the camaraderie is strong in that. So
Yes.
um I think it's epic to be a dad, but also I saw this reel a little while ago and I'm just gonna read the quote that it said.
Hmm.
And it might not be like exact wording of wherever they took it from, right? Again, like everybody copies everybody now, nothing's original. But I've definitely heard of this science many a time. So like I know that it's true, but I also wanted to leave it as just an encouragement to all the fellow dads out there, right? As we continue in our identity as fathers. It said, do you want to know what the strongest predictor is of a child's future success? It's not money, not school, not even screen time. It's whether their father is positively present and emotionally engaged. Study
Hmm.
after study shows a supportive, loving father changes everything. Higher academic achievement, lower risk of depression, substance abuse, and teen pregnancy, better emotional regulation and empathy, stronger cognitive development in early childhood. It's not just about being there, it's about showing up with warmth, consistency, and emotional connection. Positive fathering is one of the most powerful forces in a child's development. It shapes the brain, builds resilience, and lays the foundation for lifelong success. And so I love that. I think this is like the trend moving
Hmm.
forward now is a lot of us dads out there, we know that it's important to be there, but on top of that, we know that that extra step. I like that they mentioned it's not just about being there,
Hmm.
it's about showing up. It's about being emotionally connected. It's about being consistent.
Hmm.
Um, and like we've talked about in previous podcasts, it's never too late to
No,
start.
not at all.
That's something I feel like it's easy, especially for us dads, to just beat ourselves up about it. That, well, I didn't do this, or I wish I would have done this better. You can still start at whatever point you're in. And Rob's going to keep talking about this in future episodes about those baby steps because he's good at
Yep.
this. Coach Rob in the house uh, just takes one little step, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So what's the courageous little step that you want to take this week to just be that identity as a father that you want to be?
Hmm.
Um, and that's that's it. That's the thought for the day. Do you have
That's a
anything
great
else you
thought.
want to add?
No, I was going to say the quote kind of hit it on its head where it's like, I think there was a point in time where we thought just standing in the same room was enough. We might even had parents that portrayed that as far as what fatherhood or parenting would look like. And now we know that there's so much more involvement. And I think a lot of us can get lost and I don't know, right? I don't know how to do that. But to remember with this podcast or resources that you have, the church, mentorship, is that you're not the first father in the history of time, right? There's been other dads, right? Other guys have gone through this. Other parents have been parents before, and to reach out to those resources, because more times than not, and I'm speaking from my own experience, they are more than welcome to help out because of what they said to me. They wished they had someone when they first became a parent, kind of let them know, like, hey, that's really not an emergency. It's okay. You don't have to go through shock. The kids are fine. And so don't try to go at this alone. I think that's one of the biggest things that I was told that's really helped me out is to seek other dads from all generations, grandpas, all to newborns, right? Because they all will have something that can help out, right? And I think that's another thing about this group, right? Parenting dads, is that hey, we all do it a little bit different. And if I want to do something different, I need to go talk to someone who's doing it different, right? Because I only have the tools that I have in my hands. And so if you're questioning things out there, or if you kind of hit a roadblock, you could Google or chat GPT it, but I'm sure there's a dad in the neighborhood, at your church, part of your jujitsu academy, that you can kind of lean on and take out for coffee. It's like, hey, you got a couple minutes, got questions about elementary school, like which one neighborhood wise should I be going at? And so those are the resources that we all have available, as long as we're willing to ask. And so I implore you guys just to ask.
Yep. Amen to that. And, you know, as we always say, we are not professionals.
Nope, not gurus. We're just two dads in
Two
real life.
dads in real.